Like
And
Bobby
and to be honest,
should be fine.
and to be honest, to tie into that, right? And to tie into that real quick, I'm gonna talk about how this particular blog was talking about how this program is run more like a family business than an actual athletic program.
Ooh.
Because it actually uses Nick Saban as a pretty good stopgap in this. Because he's talking about how, like, Nick Saban was the GOAT when it came down to college football, and you got Belichick, who was known as the GOAT coming out of the NFL, right?
Yeah.
And some people speculated generally that the reason why Saban decided to retire is because he didn't feel like dealing with the NIL stuff, so on and so forth.
Oh,
but they pulled excerpts from the interviews about it, to which he actually said, one, his age started becoming an issue because he couldn't give people he couldn't give players assurances that I'm going to be here for the next 3, 4, and 5 years or whatever, because I'm getting old. The other
Miss
thing
Terry
was,
ain't playing that.
Oh yeah, Miss Terry wasn't doing it. She was like, "Listen, you got 2 more seasons, and then you gonna bring your butt.
You gonna bring your butt home, and you gonna sit up in that chair when I tell you to."
You see, you gonna sit up in this chair when I bring this cake out to you, and you gonna sit here and like it." The other thing, he went on to say that it was becoming harder to get the caliber of coaches that he needed to continue the kind of dominance that he had.
Why? Because they were all getting hired for head coaching gigs?
Well, not just that. It's just like, when that factored into to the age thing as well. Because it's like, the older I got, the more I was going to need guys who were of high caliber to do what I needed to do. Because he even said, like, he made his decision to retire while looking for a replacement, for a replacement coach for his receivers. And he was just like, yeah, no, it's just too much. Because he said running a college football program that aims for the top requires a large and talented staff with a head coach capable of harmonizing their efforts and identifying areas their efforts might be coming up short. In these videos, Saban seems to be speaking to the ways his staffing was starting to suffer due to his age. In turn, his effort to mitigate those shortcomings, in his words, was going to kill me. So they use the example of, so now you have Belichick's staff from last season, which was Mike Lombardi, who's a personal friend, Steve Lombardi, who's Mike Lombardi's son, Brian Belichick, who was Bill's son, Freddie Kitchens, who was left over from Mac's staff. Then you got Matt Lombardi, who was another son of Mike Lombardi. And then you got Will Friend, who was a friend of Freddie Kitchens.
Wasn't Bill's other son also a coach there too?
That was Brian.
Brian Belichick? Okay.
Yeah, Brian Belichick and Steve Belichick.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, I remember both of them were there.
And it was like, okay, when you look at it, like, we don't have an elite coaching staff at all. Like, none of these guys were elite coaches that you can say, yeah, this hypes me up that this is going to be a thing. So you can at least say with Petrino coming in, at least Petrino is going to be a higher profile OC that may give you a little bit of sway on, okay, I have a seasoned college coach. I have a guy that has a history of getting results for what I need him to get results for. But overall, like, your staff is mid. Like, you have a very mid staff here. Mid.
Why is it?
Long story short, we don't have elite staff or anything remotely resembling it. Worse, one isn't coming. Perhaps a Bobby Petrino or Chip Kelly ups to, and this is prior to us finding out Petrino's getting hired. So perhaps a Petrino or Chip Kelly ups the star power of that assemblage. However, no one's accusing Steve Belichick of being an elite defensive coordinator. Worse, even if an elite defensive coordinator wanted to come work for Belichick, how does Belichick dismiss his own son from the position? We run into the same problem with Matt and Brian. So we run into the same problem with Matt and Brian. Once family fill these positions, the evaluation of them ceases to be as objective as a professional football operation needs to be. Again, the central premise of the Belichick hire was to jumpstart UNC football in the worlds of professional football and elite football simultaneously. That's what all this money was for. Instead, we're staffing like a family business, except the family's spending UNC's money. We've got what appears to be a lack of great position coaches, coordinators beating down Belichick's door to work for him. Saban speaks to what could be a significant factor in that. As a result, UNC spending SEC money for coaches that no SEC school would have, at least in similar roles. Final note, a lot was made of the whirlwind nature of Belichick's hiring and the pressing issues related to recruiting and portal calendars. The staff wasn't elite because it was rushed. Well, UNC's season wrapped a month ago. Belichick and Lombardi opted to stand pat outside the offensive coordinator and special teams coordinator roles. Neither have been filled, while quality candidates have been landing at other programs for weeks now. Whatever concerns Belichick and Lombardi might have from a 4-8 record against one of the easiest P4 schedules, significantly upgrading on-field staff doesn't appear to be one of them. This is your reminder that UNC's offense finished 109th and defense 100th nationally. Does it feel like a 33rd NFL team to you? Mm-hmm. Steve actually improved the defense from where it was to where it is now.
I'll say that defense looked better in the second half of the year than the first half.
Yeah, the defense looked better. So there was improvement. So on Steve's end, we're not going to say, like, once again, we're not going to say Steve was elite. And we're also not going to say, like, yeah, he was a part of those 3 Super Bowls. And we're not going to say he didn't have a hand in that. But you also got to remember, his dad is also a very defensive-minded coach on top of that. Also, he had one of the best position. He had a bunch of very good position coaches on top of that just gelled well with Steve Belichick as a coordinator. So we're not going to sit here and say that he didn't do bad. And Washington was fine last year. We're not going to say they weren't. The guy has a point of he's just not elite.
I'm going to say this. I genuinely think firing them would be easier said. I think it's actually a lot easier than we are making it out to be, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's kind of hard to fire your son X, Y, and Z. For a guy like Belichick, and I'm sorry to bring this up, but I will. This is the same man who just said, bump it. I'm going to date a 25-year-old despite what all my brother, sister-in-law, and everybody said. And now I'm going back to coaching football. I think this man is at a level of cutthroat to where if his sons were really playing that bad, or if the Lombardi sons were really now I think firing the Lombardi kids would be harder than firing his own, because Lombardi is the GM. I think firing them would be a lot harder than Bill saying, I'm going to fire my own sons.
I would say it would be harder. I would say, yeah, I can agree. It'd be a little bit harder to fire the Lombardi boys than it would be his own. I would also say, though, it would be harder for him to fire Steve than it would be to fire Brian.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely harder to fire Steve because Steve actually has the numbers to back up. Like, hey, Steve has to do bad to be justified fired.
Well, not just that. Bill's never fired Steve. Steve just left.
That's the first time for everything.
There is a first time for everything, but but once again, the question on the table is, what are the actual chances of us seeing that?
You think
because even when the Patriots were doing bad defensively,
Steve has his medication on speed dial?
No.
Like Steve is low key babysitting.
I would say Steve has a higher chance of getting fired by Bill because his wife said something crazy about his girlfriend. About Jordan, than he does actually being fired for a bad performance on the field. Because my thing is, if we're being real about this, if we're being 100% objective about this, to be honest, Steve should be fired right now. Steve and Brian both. I get that, yes, the defense improved, but your defense shouldn't have been that ass for that long.
If we begin with, if we been a thou. Everybody said, if we keep it at 100, a stack of thou, a Billy Wow, everybody except the special teams coordinator needs to be fired.
Agreed. I 100% agree.
Special teams coordinator found Veer. Hey, special teams coordinator, he said, Veer Hoff, my kicker. I got my punter. My boys are good.
Because y'all out here acting. Because once again, like we brought up before,
Now, he was shaky, though, on kick return and punt return because he did get kicked. But remember, he did get fired. But we did say last week that was kind of like he got caught in the midst of just them doing some BS.
He got caught. He got caught in some BS because, to be honest, I didn't see in any of those games the kick return being that bad.
I personally didn't. To me, it was also one of those things when I looked at kick return and punt return, if something bad really happened, that's because they're deflated already due to like defense giving up a big play or offense again having like their 5th straight 3-and-out drive. So it's just like, bro, I'm out here punting again. I'm out here having to go be a gunner again. I'm out here having to do punt coverage. I'm out here having to do a kick return because our defense couldn't hold water again.
Because didn't we point out that their punt alone was what, 2,000 yards?
Yes. They punted.
You're punting for all of 2,000 yards. And you're out here mad at, and you're out here firing your special teams coach because they're having to punt 20 times a game. Like, come on. That's not his fault at all.
Yeah, because last time we checked, they punted for over a mile and some change. It was like 2,000 yards.
Yeah.
And when we did the numbers, it's like, yo, that's over a mile of just
over a mile. And you out here talking about he's a problem. He's not. I guarantee you, the whole offensive staff needs to be gone. They should have had their bags packed by the time the season ended. Like, come on. Just think about it. We only kicked off 22 times and gave up 402 yards returning. So we averaged 18 yards a kick return. But we punted 56 times for 2,389 yards. Are you telling me?
Shout out to our punter for being able to boot that thing.
And you're telling, and I was saying, and the average punt yards was about 40 yards a punt.
That's what I say. Shout out to our punter being able to knock that thing loose.
So you're telling me you want to sit here and look at these numbers and tell me that Pryford was the problem? Pryford kept y'all in games.
Pryford did his job.
Because you also went 19 for 23 on field goal attempts.
Shout out Veerhoff.
Whenever you could get close enough to kick a damn field goal.
That was the one thing I wish they did more, was just test Veerhoff's leg a lot more and see what his true range is. Because I don't think we saw how far he really can kick.
I'm gonna say this. I don't find it productive to test kicking from your own 40-yard line every game.
No, I'm not saying kick from your own 40-yard line.
I mean, that's where we would have been kicking from. kicking from the logo to our 40-yard line. It's about where we're kicking from every time.
I was like, we get to day 40. I don't see why not.
I'm just saying. How often did that happen?
Enough to where I think we could do it.
It happened enough for us to kick 23 times.
Enough?
23 times is when we got to at least their 40 or not. That's what I'm saying.
You know what? Hold up. I got you. Wow, you 23 times. I got you. Because I got you. Because
third down efficiency, 58 of 157, 37% third down efficiency. Now we did good on fourth down though. We went 11 of 15.
He said 11 of 15.
With 11 of 15 on fourth downs, we did pretty good on that end.
I was trying to see if they had it broken down by distance, because I know I found one website that broke it down by distance.
Because the opposite,
there it is.
like that.
Okay.
So what did you expect him to do?
So Veerhoff went 5 of 5 from 20 to 29, 3 of 4 from 30 to 39, 10 of 11 from 40 to 49, 1 of 3 from 50 plus, and he made a 57-yarder. So yeah, we get. Oh dang! Wait a minute, 40 to 49. That means we had their own 30. Okay, never mind. I talked myself out of my own argument. I'm just saying though, it seemed like we got to their 30. We were good. The other team's 30 to their 39. We were good.
And yeah, that's fine. And we made it that far. Great. Kick the field goal. If you can't do nothing else, kick the field goal. But the problem is we didn't get that close enough to really be like, yeah, we should just test this kid's leg out. I'm trying to keep this man's hamstring intact.
I mean,
because you knew good and well if we testing this kid for 57 and longer 8-9 times a game, kid's tearing a butt cheek at least at some point.
Wow. That is wow.
Okay. Hamstring and glutes at some point.
Oh, wow. Okay. That man said he's tearing a butt cheek. Oh,
the gluteus minimus, maximus, and medius, all of it gone.